And circling back to the Rochester thing, I mean, I can say something about.
Yeah.
My wife and I took our kids to this little like mini getaway. We stayed at the Strathallan and that kind of thing. We had the opportunity to go to Pizza Wizard and Velvet Belly and that kind of thing. If you're familiar with them, like
Pizza Wizard's great.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They do a Detroit. I mean, they've got a few different styles of pizza, but everything, they just crush it. Everything they do. And it's like, I live for finding little places like that because I usually work, I'm cooking my own stuff and that kind of thing. I don't get out much. So when something like that falls in your lap, I appreciate the hell out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You appreciate them.
Yeah, Pizza Wizard's great. It's like they're Detroit style. It's like a cloud. It's so like airy and thick, and it's really, really good.
We had their pizza with like a broccoli rabe, and it had their tomato sauce, and like had some ricotta and mozzarella and like that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that
sounds fucking awesome.
They smash it, man.
Yeah, he does a good job. There's Peels on Wheels out there. I want to get there.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what other like old school. There's Doughboys that's out there. I've seen their stuff. They look really good.
Well, you're going to New York City, so you going to Staten Island?
No, I haven't gotten out there yet.
You'll have a good time.
Yeah,
there's some really good eats out there.
Yeah. I kind of want to do. That's like a whole nother. Like that's another day. You know,
it's a day. It's a day, man.
Yeah. So we were down there in June or July of this past year, and just flew in like 6 a.m. Flew out at 10. We wound up getting delayed and getting stuck until the next day, which sucked. But still ran around and ate some really good food and ate too much food. I went to Katz's and got a pastrami at 9:30 in the morning and.
Yeah, I saw you guys go in there, and I was looking at that sandwich, and I'm like,
yeah.
Is that the first time you've been in there?
No, that was my second time going in there. That was Nicole's first time, but I mean, Katz's is just like it's a whole experience. Legit, it's amazing how many New Yorkers though are commented or like DM me. They're like, you can't go to Katz's. That's like the tourist trap. I'm like, that's a pretty fucking good pastrami sandwich. I don't care if it's
call
a
it what
tourist
you
trap.
want,
but you know what?
It's like, delicious food. Right?
It's like up here with wings. Right?
Yeah.
Someone will say, all right, you're going to go to Shifty's. You're going to go here.
Yeah.
No, you got to go check out this place. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah. They're all getting their wings frozen, 95% of them, from the same vendors. And even if they're not from the same vendor, it's still the same fucking factory.
It's the same factory,
Right.
ultimately. Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, what really is different? The sauce? Okay. Yeah. And there's some great sauces.
And they're all with Frank's pretty much. I don't care what people say.
Tiny bit of the cooking process. I was at another place.
Yeah.
I feel like some of my cooks still hate me for this. Like we used to get the Mount Air wings, and you can get them from multiple purveyors, right?
Yeah.
But we'd let them air dry, and then we'd dry rub them. We'd smoke them for an hour, finish them in the oven. So they're pretty much cooked.
Oh, wow.
And then we allocated one fryer because they had a dry rub on them, and it decimated the fucking fryer.
Yeah.
But we made our own
were
sauce.
good
We
wings.
didn't do buffalo wings. We have this sauce that we still use at the cafe.
Okay.
That we dressed them in, and we did like a yogurt sauce with cumin and citrus and scallions. So
Sounds good.
familiar, like you could recognize it, but it was like its own thing. But I think some of my cooks are like, I hate you.
Pissed that they have to do it? Or
Yeah.
pissed that you pissed that you do it at the cafe?
We don't do it at the cafe now.
Okay.
But the process was there. They were like, we're really, I mean, we had a rolling rack full of wings, and we were doing it 3 times a week.
Damn. Yeah.
We were something like 120 pounds of wings.
Yeah. So I was in January and February, I was at Limp Lizard in North Syracuse, like running the restaurant for them. And really with them because they were kind of like, I still didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But I was up there as like the manager. And that was during football season when...
You mean you were in like the mix of it?
Yeah. So, we had 3-1 Fried inside that location, and the cook, who was the manager, quit and left and went somewhere else. And they were like, all right, what are we going to do? And for some stupid reason, I was like, I can do it. I know how to barbecue. I lived in Texas. I smoked there. I've smoked here.
Let's go.
It's not that difficult, right? and I had a 2-month-old at the time, so it was.
Really?
Just such a stupid fucking idea.
How many kids you have?
We just one. He'll be a year in 2 weeks. So
It's a ride, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. But like Super Bowl Sunday, we went through 38 cases of wings. Oh, shit. It was a mad because we did 50-cent wings. So it was just a madhouse.
At 40 pounds a pop.
Yeah, I mean, I've never. Crazy. Yeah, I mean, we had, and they come in frozen, so you have to thaw them, and then we had to par cook them the night before, the morning of, and then that whole day it was just nonstop. I mean, we literally had to do the math to say how many wings fit in a basket, how many fryers do we have, and how many pre-orders does that mean that we can take?
Yeah,
and we had maxed that out. Yeah, it was stupid. A lot of respect to people that have to fucking do that every day or every year for Super Bowl. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So tell me, about you guys. So how did you come, like, how did the idea for the cafe and the location, everything like that, pop into existence?
How did the location? I'm going to let Chris take the lead on that one.
Well, I showed up in the Syracuse area in 2017.
Okay.
I took a job down here. We had a little one. Prior to that, we were up in the Adirondacks. I'd worked in some restaurants there.
Okay.
I'd finished. I went to Paul Smith's. I got a culinary degree there, and the culinary director that took over offered me a job a year later. In the mix of it, I was doing private chef work, some small caters, but mostly I worked for a family or two, and I really got to have a great deal of.
Mind if I have some?
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, go for it.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, help yourself, man.
This one?
So we were.
This is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
We were doing.
Bland's is good.
I was doing my own thing up there and that kind of thing, and I had a really great opportunity to just play with food and really refine processes and figure out ingredients and play with things and experiment. I mean, these families were really great to me. I can't say enough good things about them.
That's awesome.
And then I came down to a place that serves veterans for a teaching conference. So I was teaching at Paul Smith's at the time, and we were trying to recruit people either for not necessarily for culinary, but they have an interesting scope of what they do for education programs. They have a business program, they have a biology program, they have a forestry program, they have a culinary, kind of thing. So I get down to this place and I look around, and they're like, yeah, we're looking for a chef if you know anybody that's interested. Like, I sent them my resume right there on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was there for 3 years and then moved over and opened up a brewery for a family that picked that up. And short story long, couple years went by, and I said, I really want to do my own thing. And Damien and I were friends at that point, and we looked at a few different concepts. One was like, all right, turnkey, and we can look at something else, and then a few other places like, this needs a ton of work, and no thanks. And then this cafe popped up, and it
so funny. Every time I hear the name cafe, we'll come back to
right.
That. It's not a cafe.
So I'm like, no, cafe, it flew across the bow like 3 times. And I'm like, all right, I got to go look at it.
Yeah.
So I did. I did the preliminary work, and we had kind of put the idea of opening a place to bed for a little bit, right? I don't want to speak for you.
No, you're right. We did.
And I went and looked at it, and I'm like, all right, it's in a good spot. It is, So Damien came in and looked at it. He's like, all right, this is cool. I'm like, let's do it. And that was early July, and we opened August 23rd.
Wow. Damn. That's fucking fast.
Yeah. So it was fast. It was kind of like, all those conversations we've had when we're sitting on the deck and we're just having cigars and bourbon. We're like, we're going to open up our own place. We're going to do this. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, shit.
How did you two meet? Like, how do you guys know each other?
Softball team.
Okay.
Well,
Chris cooks better than he plays softball. I'm just going to say that.
I was a baseball player. Hitting a softball is a different animal.
It's definitely
Yeah,
a different
for sure.
animal. Yes.
We actually met through the first place I worked at down here, if I can back it up a little bit, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So we met briefly at a party, and then they're like, you want to join a softball league? I'm like, well, how different can it be than baseball? It's a lot different, as it turns out. And I set the game back 30 years like I do with golf. I set that back 50 years. But yeah, we just kind of started hanging out and that kind of thing. And Damien was always very gracious about, like, I think your food's really good. I think he came up to a couple
Well,
of
we would cook a lot, though. So Chris and I would get together. We'd drink bourbon. We'd have a good time. And then just, like, mess around. What do you got in the cabinet? Okay. So you did a dish one night, 11:30 at night. sausage I had, and I had shrimp, and I had pasta, and I had sauce. And he's like, "You never had shrimp and sausage together?" I'm like, "No, man." He's like, "You're gonna love this."
Yeah.
And I think you threw some bacon or something in there. It was so good.
Yeah, it sounds good.
I never put that combination together, and we would do stuff like that. And then it became a little bit more, like a guy's night out. We'd have neighbors over, whatever.
That's cool.
And we would just put something like at 11 o'clock at night, and then whatever's in the fridge, that would be the fun.
That's
Nothing sometimes we would do stuff planned,
Sure.
but a lot of times we'd be like, "What do you got?
Yeah.
Go at it, Chris. Let's see what we can put together." And
Yeah.
and then I was like, "Wow," And then you go back to like food and like something different, but that comes like it's fresh.
Yeah.
You're doing it fresh, and there's love behind it. And it was like, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. And it's like, here we are now, we're kind of doing it. So you have really a trained chef, and we're cranking out breakfast sandwiches.
Right.
And people are loving the breakfast sandwiches. And there's pride behind it, So we worked out with
That's awesome.
the rolls, the Delorio's rolls, and we'll give them a shout out. They're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, they do a good job. Yeah, a lot of people use Deloros around here. Yeah. Yeah, that's all. I mean, the Taylor ham, whatever you want to call it. I forget. Somebody gave me shit for
They
something.
call it a pork roll.
Yeah, pork roll. It was good. It was really good. Nice and crispy. Really great breakfast sandwich for sure. Everything that day was fucking good.
Thanks.
Thank
yeah,
you, man.
that
Thank you.
rice
Yeah.
bowl, the shakshuka, was great. So, I mean, why are you doing such great food out of that small space?
I got to tell you. So, when I open these couple of other places for another family and that kind of thing, you got the pandemic, you got the hiring thing, you got the.
Yeah.
For me, it's about the process with food, right? It's not, let's make this big menu. It's not, let's do this. This is a good idea. I saw this here. I saw this there. It's about the process of cooking.
Yeah.
And I saw this as an opportunity. Like, it's a cafe in name only, right?
Right. Yeah.
We sell great coffee there, if you don't mind me saying. Recess. I mean, I think their coffee's great. I love Adam. I think he's awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about the process of cooking, and it takes time. It just does. It just takes time. I mean, there's simple things you can do that you can, but it's still about the process.
Yeah.
We get all of our own, like our chuck short rib hybrid that we get, all of our meats that we get in. We cook our own turkey off. We don't buy any of those things in. And the reason I say that, it's a little more work, but I think the output is exponentially better, and it allowed us to do it in such a way that we could test it.
Agreed.
Without getting buried in financials and having to deal with the labor pool issue and that kind of thing. And the other piece of it right on top of that is that I wanted to build a culture that would invite people to come back to the industry. I think we need more service professionals. And I wanted to do it in a way that we could prove our concept and expand from there. So that's why we did the cafe, and we're like, all right, but the cool thing is we can do whatever we want there. We have the space to do it, and I don't mean physical space, but we have the space to do things and be versatile and have a good conversation about it.
Yeah.
I think you bring up a good point. You're kind of like, okay, well, this might be a little bit, I don't know if it's fancy, but it's a little bit higher end maybe for that spot.
Yeah.
Labor shortage is a real deal. I
Yeah,
mean,
for
everyone
sure.
knows that. We don't really have that problem right now.
Yeah,
It's
right.
good. There's no tables, and you're putting out good food. You have the two major hospitals. You have a major campus. So we feel like the foot traffic is really there to get them in, and now they're going to get a taste of different type of food. And going back to New Jersey, when you mentioned, like, not New Jersey, but going back to New York City, if you go into some of these places, they're fast, right?
Yeah,
You
for
go into a deli, and you're like, let me get a ham and egg, or let me get whatever. They
Yeah.
just crank it out, and that's what we're doing. Everything's fast. So Chris set up the line, and then our helper, our Jimmy, who's been great, everything's set up for speed because these nurses, a lot of them are nurses, they get 20, 25 minutes
Yeah, for
for
sure.
lunch.
Yeah.
They need something quick, and they want something pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's built for that, and that's what we're really trying to, head toward. And then, overhead scared us both. We don't want to carry on
Yeah, for
18,
sure.
20 tables yet. Now, if they can turn into something else, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like right now, let's get something good. Let's get something fast. And he's good about coming up with the fried rice. So we had some rice. You have rice left over, and then he's doing a fried rice breakfast.
Oh, nice.
And then you do that, and it's kind of like
that's
you
cool.
keep it kind of good, keep it going and keep it fresh.
Yeah. So how's it been? I mean, you've been open, 2 months now?
Yeah,
2.5?
roughly.
So how's it been so far?
Yeah, I don't even think it's been 2 months.
Yeah, just short of that.
It's good. It's picking up. It's more. It's steady.
Yeah.
I think, in the winter months, we're hoping soups and whatnot will start catching on. The location is good, but it's still hidden. So
Yeah.
you can put a sign out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then you have
You
someone
guys
like
do a
yourself.
nice
who
job
gives-
of
You
offsetting
do a
that.
nice job of shouting us out, but it's kind of
Yeah.
like. But when people are coming in, and this is the other thing, what's been really cool is people have gone out of their way to come in and say that was the best sandwich I had.
Oh,
That was
nice.
such a great rice bowl. That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
We're not going to be for everybody.
Yeah,
but
for
if
sure.
we can get for people who are really digging what we're trying to do and be fast,
Yeah.
at this point, that's what we're trying to go for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, because I think if you open up an Armory Square, I mean, what's your base? Like now you're trying to get every customer that you can within like a 15-mile radius, or every person, every adult with, disposable income within a 15-mile radius to come to your restaurant. When you're where you are, you're trying to get everyone who works in those buildings around you, and that's pretty much it,
Right.
Which
But
is
it's a lot of people, though.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And if you can get them, you're set. But even if you can get them, once or twice a week, you're set.
Right.
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 And we're getting some people easily 3 and 4 times a week.
And
We're
they
open
want
5
to.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because if you guys were open, we were up there in November. So if you were last November, so if you had been open, we would have been down there instead of ordering hospital food up to the room for 3 days. So yeah, that's awesome. So was everything were things in there? Was the equipment there? Did you have to do a lot to get it open and get it set up?
Not really.
That's cool.
We had most of the equipment in place. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But it was as good as it could be.
Setting up the line has been key. Going back to the speed, though, we
Definitely.
changed that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. We had most of the equipment in there. We kept it basic, and when I saw it was there, I'm like, all right, this is what we have to build off of. Most of the things we do. So, for example, like the chicken thighs that we do for the bowls and the beef we do for a number of things. I use a Weber. There's no substitute for charcoal. It's a time thing. It takes more time out of my day. I don't care. I open a beer and I grill stuff, and it's like, yeah, I'm doing it for a business, but I'm standing here grilling things.
Yeah.
It's,
Right.
it's not really work, if I'm being honest. But it serves our purpose as well, and we had the opportunity to have some time and figure out the efficiencies and things that we needed to do to make sure things got turned out quickly.
And still, it's still learning. You're learning. So, I'll be perfectly
Every day.
honest. Like salads, we're like, oh, people are gonna love salads.
Nope.
Nobody's ordering a salad, really?
They will.
Yeah.
But we put a salad. We were ready for the salad. And people are like, no, give me the,
Yeah.
And we're doing breakfast all day.
And I want the
love that,
opportunity to
man.
say this. I know I'm willing to go. I'm willing to die on this hill. I do this beet poke.
Okay.
Right. I stole it from Jose Andres. I'm not that.
Yeah.
It's just a delicious dish. I'm not. I mean, look at me. I'm not. Vegetables aren't my focus.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I eat more animal than any 3 people probably should, and that's not going to change.
Yeah.
But it's a really delicious dish.
Yeah.
It's a knockoff of tuna poke. I mean, beets look very much like ahi or yellowfin tuna.
Yeah.
We put it next to rice. We do some furikake with it and some carrots, edamame, that kind of thing. We build a poke bowl.
Yeah.
I thought, all right, we're gonna do it here. I did it another place. It was okay there, and it's like it just doesn't. It's one of those things, but it's also a way to the folks that are out there that are interested in that kind of food. It's like we have that too.
Yeah.
We don't have the space to have to devote a focus to that.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
I also want to show people, and even like me, that's a professional carnivore. It's a delicious dish, and it's and we're trying to think of everybody in within the confines of what we have for space.
Yeah.
Being new, I'm newer to the industry, and that's the challenge. It's like you have a small space.
Yeah.
You want to be competitive in pricing. You want to have fresh ingredients, but salad is only going to last so long.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of like, how do you kind of really get all that together and then still try and keep it fresh, but not lose your shirt at the same time?
Yeah.
Because we're doing this to make money.
Right. Yeah.
And that's where it's like, and Chris has really done a great job, and that's why he's doing everything scratch and coming up with, so like a beef in our rice bowl, it's the same beef that's going to be in a braised beef sandwich, right? So it's similar,
Yeah.
a little bit different variation, but it's
We
fresh.
take the same cut and we divide it, and then we do it in 3 different contexts.
Yeah, that's cool.
So just cross utilization.
Yeah.
Right.
So what did you do before this?
So I still have a business on the side.
Okay.
For 20 years, I do printing and promotional items.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, we should talk then because we need to
should
get
talk.
some
We'll
shit.
hook you up with some swag.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that's what I do. So I'm still doing that.
Okay.
And yeah, so it definitely it's a little bit, I'm stretched.
Yeah,
But-
yeah, I get that.
You know, I think we're onto something, and it's for me it's fun because now I'm branching into a new industry. So like I'm on a flat top and I'm like making it. I gotta be honest, I made you that Taylor ham and egg. I didn't know you guys were gonna roll. I was like, shit, I'm making this for this guy. He's like gonna post it and shit. I better get it right. So I'm glad I got that one.
It was great.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, you know, just so but it's fun. It's like, you know, life is short, man. I want to have some fun, and this is totally new. I got total faith in Chris. Chris is, you know, we're gonna do okay. I think our motto is it's pretty good. It's quick, but it's you know, it's nerve-wracking.
For sure.
You're starting a business from scratch.
Yeah.
You're 6 weeks into it. It's like their foot traffic's all around.
Yeah.
They're not coming in quite yet, but we're doing a pretty good job. We got the signs, we got flyers.
Yeah.
And again, the word of mouth, which may be slower,
Right.
but it's the best advertising you're going to get.
Yeah, for sure. Especially up where you are. I mean, there's so many restaurants in Syracuse, especially the ones that are like right down in your area, who, if they could figure out a way to tap into even like 10% of those employees in that market, they would do it. You know, they'd give anything to be able to do it. So, and I mean, Joe's To Go was up there for a while.
Joe's To Go.
Yeah, Joe's To Go. I only knew about them because when we first started a taco search, somebody was like, "You've got to go to
Taco search.
Yeah, so we do.
Let's revisit that. Thank you kindly.
Just
Yeah.
keep that over here.
Yeah, that's feel free. I'm just moving these because of the focus on the camera on you.
You're a very gracious host.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You are a
Listen,
gracious
I've
host.
bought. I feel bad. I've bought I just picked up the Willet bottle yesterday, and I got the Sazerac, and I mean those bottles have been sitting there. Just like that's the danger of like being a bourbon collector. You know, as you're a douche, you just buy all these bottles when you find them, and then they just sit
You
there
are not
unopened.
a douche by any means whatsoever.
By the way,
And I'll
what's
fight
your feeling
anybody who
about
says
rye?
so.
I always shy away from it. When I first see it, I'm like, I already have a rye, you know, and it's like, and so I think, and I don't know if I'm, so I think, so when I see it, I'm like, I just got the Sazerac, which is the Syracuse Bourbon Society barrel pick, and then I got the Willet yesterday only at Pascal's, only because I was like, oh, I don't have that one. And when I went there, I was like, oh, I just got a bottle of rye. What the fuck am I going to do with this?
I'll help.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I got you, man.
Yeah.
You've done enough nice things for us. I will help you drink your rye. It's
So,
the least I can do.
but it's funny that you say that because I've been thinking about that, like trying to think of why do I have this view on rye whiskey, and I wonder how many other people think that way. It's like, oh, I've got this rye, I could use it in this one spicy cocktail, you know.
I'm not huge on rye. Now that rye, that Victor's was a rye, right?
No, it's not a rye. It's just a straight small batch whiskey. It's just a sour mash.
okay.
Yeah. There is the Michter's rye. I don't have it. You know, Pascal's has got it. Now we're coming into like, you know, the Christmas season is like literally the Christmas of allocation, you know, allotments for a lot of these places. So there was guys on the, I don't know if you're part of the Syracuse Bourbon group on Facebook. Syracuse,
We will be.
Syracuse Bourbon Society.
Yeah.
Chris
I didn't know it
Michael.
existed.
Chris Michael heads it up. Nick LaPlante, another big beer bourbon guy here in Syracuse. And so they do barrel picks a few times a year with actually they were featured in a big magazine with Pascal's. They went to Kentucky with Nick and the team and picked out that barrel of Sazerac.
Nice.
So they'll do a few different things. Then it's like when they release that, they'll say, all right, it's going to happen tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And at 8 p.m. the next day, they go on the face. It's open. And you have to jump in there and type N. And if you get in there in that first group, then you get one of the bottles. You can go buy it, basically, get access to it. So, so I got into it because I had Nick Pascal on the podcast a few times last year. And he was telling me all about like bourbon and secondary markets and all that stuff. And so I started getting into it, and I would just call up places randomly or stop in the liquor stores. So that bottle of Russell's Reserve 13 was like the first kind of allocated bottle I bought. And I found it locally for $100, which is a steal. Because if you look, like if you go on Drizzly right now, it's $700 if you want it shipped.
Right.
So in my head, I'm thinking, I'm going to buy this and go sell it online for $400 like that. And then I bought it, and I got home and I Googled how to sell a bottle of bourbon, and everything said it's illegal. So, I was like, oh, I can't fucking do this.
So I guess I'll drink it.
Yeah. No, so some people have what they call like their, hot water tank, collection. It's like they have them unopened. Maybe one day they'll open them for a special occasion. Maybe one day their hot water tank, their water heater, shits the bed, and they try to sell them locally somehow. So like a way to sell it would be, I would post a picture of like this remote and this bottle of bourbon on Facebook and say, I'm selling this remote for $200, and it comes with a bottle of bourbon, so that's one of the ways. There's a secret Facebook
Innovation.
group. Right.
Apparently you're in it. You're in it.
There's a secret Facebook group I'm part of where they do a lot of like recycling or trading or whatever the case is. And you see some pretty crazy bottles go through there. But that bottle I got, that's my third bottle of Blanton's. I got one, a friend of mine, I won't say so he doesn't get, in trouble, who owns a restaurant in town and has a big allocated collection. He was like, I'll sell you whatever you want it cost. So I got that from him. Then my brother, like 2 weeks later, went down because he lives an hour away. He went down to Buffalo Trace and bought that for me for a Christmas gift, bought me a bottle. And then Peters in North Syracuse last year sold me a bottle for like MSRP. So
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I discovered Blanton's.
Terry.
No. I was at the brewery that I opened. I don't know if we can,
Yeah. You can say whatever you want.
All right.
Yeah,
So
you can say their
we
name. There's no rules
So
with that.
I helped to open Myers Creek with the family that opened it. Great group of people.
Yeah.
One of my cooks put a bottle of Blanton's on my desk upstairs, and I brought it home. And it was either you or our friend Terry that said, "Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, a buddy of mine gave it to me." He's like,
Well,
he must be a good friend, or and then he went. I'll leave out what he said and the rest of it. I was like, I haven't opened it yet. He's like, yeah. So he explained the tops and the numbers on it and all that kind of thing. And I went back to one of my chefs, and I'm like, dude, you didn't have to do that for me. He's like, well, I had a couple hanging around. This is one of those guys, and if he sees this, he's gonna know who he is.
Yeah.
He'll sit there and just smile and drink. He's the nicest guy on the planet. He's one of the best cooks I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And fortunately for me, I've had the opportunity to,
Yeah.
I was the executive chef at this place, and it's, that's a nice title.
Yeah.
But you're only as good as your team.
For sure.
And my team made me way better.
Yeah, that's good.
They made me look really good.
Yeah.
And I owe them for that.
Yeah.
But he brings me this bottle, and everybody's like, where'd you get this? Like, oh, one of my employees brought it to me. Like, oh, how much you paying him? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
But
so,
you know what? What's kind of fun is you have this guy. He's like top of his class chef. Post Standard reached out. Charlie reached out.
Oh, did he? Okay, good.
He did. And he came by. He's like, dude. And he sent a really nice email to me. He's like, this breakfast sandwich was awesome.
It's awesome.
I'm going to swing by. We're like, cool. He goes, you know what I love? That you have a trained chef cranking out breakfast sandwiches, and you're putting out great lunch sandwiches.
Yeah.
And we agree 100%. It's like,
Yeah, for sure.
right? It's like,
Yeah, I'm glad he came by. That'll be good.
yeah.
Yeah. Usually, so what I always say with Charlie is like Syracuse.com, and he told me this. I don't know if he's going to listen to this or not. Hopefully, he doesn't get pissed at me saying it. But, well, roughly, like if they put out new restaurant, it'll get 20 to 30,000, I think, hits on their website. And from experience from other restaurants I've opened and for what happened with us at 3-1 Fried, when Syracuse.com writes about you first opening, you will, if you're great, if you suck at what you do, you will be busy for a month. If you're great at what you do, you'll be busy for like 3 months. And then it usually starts to taper off again and goes back down to normal.
Sure, everyone wants to check it out, and
Right.
then it corrects itself.
Yeah.
Right.
The challenge with that is there's some restaurants that have opened in Syracuse who are like, oh, I just got to get the word out. Just got to get the word out. And then the word gets out. And then they go from like, this one restaurant told me when we first opened, we were doing like $3,000 a week. And they were kind of like an off the beaten path sort of virtual kitchen, it was a different concept.
Right.
And he's like, we're doing about $3,000 a week. Then when the article came out, I was doing like 25,000 a week. And then
That's a massive jump.
Crazy jump.
And then now I'm doing like 2,000 a week. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I need to get back in Syracuse.com. I'm like, well, you're not going to. And,
Right.
I can answer that.
Yeah.
You have to have the capability to sustain people will be forgiving for a little bit.
Right.
Right. But when you go from 3,000 a week to 25 grand,
Yeah.
that is a massive, exponential jump.
You can't keep up with that.
And you can't, right? In the mix of that, I'm just speaking like a service industry person.
Yeah, for sure.
You're going to lose employees. They're going to get buried. You're going to lose cooks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can't even keep up. I mean, that kind of a jump, you can't even keep up with the prep, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and I'm not faulting anybody for it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's like you have to be. You have to be either prepared for that, or you have to be ready to say, like, "Hey, we got smashed,
Right.
and we want to make it good."
Yeah.
So when we opened up, that was our concern because everyone, when we were trying to get stuff together,
Yeah.
Time.
everyone was coming in. They're like, when are you opening up? What's going on? We're like, we're going to get smashed.
Yeah.
We didn't have labor yet.
Yeah.
I still have a job. Chris is getting this off the ground too. So we're like, okay, we're going to get hammered. What are we going to do? Once you open, so we were smart. We said, we're not going to open on a Monday. Or at least I thought we were smart. We said, we're not going to open on Monday. Let's open on a Wednesday.
Right.
And let's work out the kinks. Figure out the line. Figure out how we're going to get hit. And it's been slow. And that's where you don't know.
Yeah.
So you order the food, you're guessing. So it's really a guessing game.
For sure.
Right? And then once it really didn't jam, if we're just being perfectly honest, it did not. Like, people weren't flowing in.
Yeah.
Now that it's now we get hit and miss, and can almost be a one-man job.
Yeah.
Then you need a three-man job. And now, so that's where we're getting to where it's leveling off, but you don't know. So I feel and again, being new to the restaurant industry,
Right.
as far as, opening up, you don't know.
No.
You don't know what's going to jam. So when you just said what you said, it really validates. It's like, okay, we might get a lot of hits from this. It would be great.
Yeah.
We're ready for it, but we prepared for the big hits.
Yeah.
And the big hits really haven't come yet.
Yeah.
Now it's been a steady stream.
Yeah, that's good.
And it's been good, but
Yeah.
it's like you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what our viewers, whether it's, we have about 1,000 listeners on the podcast now, an episode.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, and that's just on like the audio and the video, like the long form. And our Instagram, it's hit or miss. Like, we're like in the tank right now for our views. We can't figure out what the hell happened. We were going from like 10,000 average views of video to like now 3,000.
For podcasts?
No, for our Instagram account.
Really?
I cannot figure out why.
I was just going to.
Yeah. That's the downside to like, influencing or whatever, having an Instagram account like we do, because like you're playing really to the algorithm at the end of the day. And you have to do some things that just aren't as authentic. So, like the algorithm wants to see in the beginning, this is the best thing or this is the worst thing I've ever had. You know, they want to see those like things in the first second that grab somebody's attention.
So like, I didn't mean to cut in, but like,
Yeah.
like drama, not something in the middle. Like, hey, this new place opened up and
Right.
like, we're trying it, and they
Yeah.
got in and come in and see us. It's not like this
Yeah.
is amazing, or this.
The new place
This was
is
like I had to scrub my mouth with steel wool to get it out,
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
so they want some kind of dramatic thing. Whereas like
Right.
most people fall somewhere, hopefully on that scope.
But it's like if you're scrolling, I mean, think about it. Like, well, first of all, like I don't know if you two share like funny videos with each other. If you have a group text, text with friends. Where
I
you
do, and I got to tell you, I think my game on sharing those funny texts is phenomenal.
Right.
And if you'd like, I'm more than happy.
So
I
exactly though. So you feel like you have a good record of it, and you don't want to break that, and so you're not going to share a shit video with somebody. But if I want a video to go from 4,000 views to 12,000 views, it has to be a video that people want to share. So we try to ask ourselves when we're making a video: is this content? Is this a video that somebody is going to send to their husband, send to their wife, send to their friends? Whatever the case is, because that's how you have to think about content today, because there's millions and millions of people out there that are all making content. And, the nurse across the street, right, who's maybe on her lunch break and looking at her Instagram account real quick, like she's scrolling and she's seeing like, oh, my sister posted a picture of my niece, and my friend from high school is, out apple picking, and she's watching this stuff. And then there's an ad from either like myself or a restaurant or a business. And that's like breaking up. Like that's so you have to like, is this content something that's going to get their attention and make them stop and look and see who posted it and click on the profile maybe, or, whatever the case is.
All right, so Anthony, let's just go crank the AC/DC. I'll get up on the desk. I'll start taking stuff off. Let's just go viral, bro.
We'll be closed in a week.
Yeah.
Closer.
Closed in a week.
Yeah.
We'll be closed for
But I hear what
sanitation
you're saying.
issues.
Yeah,
I mean,
see,
the health department
Yeah.
will be in 2
Yeah,
days.
they should be in 2 days. Yeah.
Like, does
I don't
that
know if
guy
they will.
not trim? Like, what the hell
All right,
happened?
now
Like,
you get personal.
Yeah.
we have to upcharge for the hair in the rice bowl. Like, what are you going to do?
I love the Onondaga County Health Department. They are some of the nicest and easy to work with people. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, one of the people that pointed me in this direction was my health inspector, and
good.
I was at
He's
another
good,
place
dude.
managing kitchen. He's just a great human being. He's
Yeah.
doing his job. Don't misunderstand me. It's
Yeah.
nothing's getting swept under the rug. He's adhering to compliance. And
But
he
the
came
way
in.
he does it, and
Yeah.
again, not being in the business, but the way he did it, he was just like, take care of this, bop, bop, bop.
Yeah. Who was it? Was it Chris or Kim or
Chris.
Chris, yeah. Chris is great.
You build a rapport, right? And I met him. So my wife works at Syracuse University.
Okay.
And we brought our kids, Edith and Florence. Edith's 7, Florence is about to be 5 or 20, based on her. In any event, I ran into him there, and he was the first one. He's like, "You should go look at Barado's on the Hill." He's thinking I had some context. I'm like, all right. And I love the guy. He's a super smart dude. He's really informed. He's
been doing it a long time.
He's been doing it a long time, but he's just a great human being, right?
Yeah.
And so a couple of other times I had these emails like, "Oh, Barado's this, bro." I'm like, "All right, fine, I'll go look at it." So I was the one. I did the preliminary recon. I didn't want to drag Damien through it because he's got, like he said, another business. I'm like, let's make sure we can. So I looked at it. I'm like, this is pretty feasible. So we walked through. Excuse me, and we just started think tanking the concept and that kind of thing. And but yeah, so he was one of the people that came through, and it's like,
Chris is awesome.
I've dealt with other health inspectors, and they got their job to do, but like this guy just like goes above and beyond. And I'm going to rescind this because I hate giving him credit for anything because he's a friend of mine. Like yeah, you did your thing, but whatever. But he was like, go look at this place and see what you think of it and that kind of thing. And
so did you guys have the idea for the cafe and you were actively looking at spaces and then this place came about? Or were you guys like, hey, one day we should have a restaurant. It'd be cool to have a restaurant. Maybe let's see if we can find a space. And then you found the space and then just went with it from there.
Can I start and just interject? We had ideas. I mean,
I interject.
Damien had just redone his deck, right?
Okay.
So we sat out there. We put beers in a cooler.
Lot of beers.
A lot of beers, and we packed things up, and we vaporized things and what have you. And we talked about things, and we looked at a few places, and anything from, all right, this place is a dump, and we got to put $350,000 into it, but man, wouldn't it be cool if we had craft cocktails and a select wine list and that kind of thing? And I'm in the middle of doing a sommelier certification, which
that's cool.
My level one, so
That's still fucking hard.
entry level.
It's really fucking
But
hard.
craft beers and that kind of thing, we have a ton of resources here, and like, you know, you have people that like yourself that understand bourbon and whiskeys and alcohol and that kind of thing. And then we were like, all right, well, staffing, right? How do we represent our concept and that kind of thing? And one of the most important things, and this is something we always talked about, was if we open a place, I want to create a culture where people are paid well, where they feel like they're part of the team because they are. It's not just a statement. I mean that.
Yeah.
I always said this to my people at Myers Creek. I'm only as good as my team. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're the chef. You're this. You're that." These people are doing the work. They're as good or better than me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's oftentimes like, "Oh, the chef is like," no. These people are like, all right, you're a lunatic, but yeah, I'm happy to be here, and I'm going to do the work that you're asking me to do. They deserve the credit. And that's where the gap has been created in the labor force. Is like they aren't getting any credit for what they're doing. They're not getting But we looked at a ton of places. Something was like, all right, this is turnkey. We can buy into this, and we can offshoot.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of put it to bed, and this cafe came up, and we were like, we can represent ourselves the way that we want, in a small scale, and we can test it and grow it from there with a moderate buy-in.
This was going to be moderate buy-in.
Easy for you to say.
I know. But it wasn't as scary as the other places we've had.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Overhead, and then you got to bring in the labor. And it's like when we talked about it and we were looking at what we're going to do, he hasn't made a shit ton of sandwiches. He's a chef.
Right, yeah.
I'm a Jersey guy. I mean, we talked about fast and speed. It's like, okay, so how do we incorporate that? Let's bring in really good bread. That's the first part.
Yeah.
Bring in the really good bread. We tested out. I put on 5 pounds. Because we said, dude, the pickle's going to bottom. Dude, should we put a sopressade on the bottom? And
you can't just stand there and eat the long roll.
Right?
You
got to eat the rolls the right way.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not testing a sandwich. Just eating a roll is not testing a sandwich.
Yeah.
But we really did. We went through that.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but you are feeling like you're leaning to the right after eating all this stuff. But what is layering right? What are people going to enjoy? And there's love behind it. So we have one person, and he's been phenomenal, who's on board. But we're making a sandwich, and there's love behind it. And before it goes out, cut it on an angle. There's pride before it goes out.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So it's like we want to have that, and I think it's paying off because people are going out of their way to come in and just say, "Hey, that's really good sandwich."
Yeah, that's great.
And you can write that off to a degree. And as a cook, I'm like, thank you. And don't misunderstand me. I truly appreciate it. But for me, I'm extremely self-critical.
Yeah, I get that.
I was a private chef for a long time.
You put the mayos together, you put the aiolis together, all that's to go with that.
We build everything from the ground up, sure.
Yeah.
I was a private chef for a long time. We do these great dinners, and my now wife would help me out with the service and that kind of thing. She was, that was amazing. I was like, I could have done this and this and this better. She's like, Chris, I think you're beating yourself up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I do, and I always will, because I think how you do one thing is how you do everything. And speaking to this, we have one employee. He's at his 3rd place with me. He's a young dude. He comes from a great family.
But he's taking pride.
He drives some Caz to work with us, and that's there's 2 things for me. Well, a few things, but like I said, you're only as good as your team.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come out. There's some chefs out there. Like I'm the chef. I'm like, I've worked for you folks, and like, you know what? You had some good people doing some really great things, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for sure.
He's a young guy. He's really smart. He comes from a great family. He drives 30 minutes one way to come and work for me. This is the third place he's worked with me at.
Yep.
I'm almost most proud of that, and I'm not.
Yeah.
That's as much of a credit to him as it is to what I'm saying. But we are in the how you do one thing is how you do everything kind of business, and I'm not. Yeah. I know there's some massively talented people out there that are like I follow like Mission Ceviche in New York City, and like oh my God, right? They're but I want to do what we do in the context of what we're doing very well. And so Damien was talking about the breakfast sandwich thing. Like, you can do a really great breakfast sandwich really simple. You just execute it well.
Yeah.
Execute it, make it consistent. And the thing is that's starting to catch on is everyone's like, can you do a party? So call up Chris. Chris will be like, what do you want to do for your party? So we've done things for Empower Credit Union. We're doing things for SU departments.
Oh, that's cool.
That's up our alley. We can cater to things.
Yeah.
We can pivot. It doesn't need to be like right off our menu. And we can pivot off of that. But it's like what comes out of that, there's pride behind it. If someone's, really doesn't like it, it's like we want to know about it.
Yeah.
But I think if you stand behind it, there's nothing like a really good sandwich.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's nothing like a really good sandwich.
Yeah, and Syracuse doesn't. I mean, I'm always very critical of Syracuse for our food scene.
As far as sandwiches,
this is interesting.
Just our food
all
scene
right,
in general.
Anthony.
All right, here we go.
I mean, now you're gonna get me started. Like we've lost two of the best restaurants in Syracuse. Yeah, you guys can listen.
Name them.
Whatever you want.
Well,
polish off the Blands. There's another bottle. We can open up anything.
You're excessively
Anthony's
generous.
like, why did I invite these guys here?
Listen, you're never gonna top this. Joel Carpenter from 317 Montgomery Street. I don't think he's listening to this, but I don't think he does. I don't care if he does. Joel's a good friend, great little local restaurant, and we used to do like maybe a monthly podcast and I used to only record these Saturday mornings. So Joel and Natalie and Darius, their former cook, all came on a Saturday morning when I was next door and we did a podcast. And it was like an hour and a half long. And I had bought this bottle of Howler Head bourbon, which is disgusting. It's banana flavored bourbon.
Oh,
banana! Are you
Banana.
serious?
It's what's the U.S. Dana Cook's bourbon company, but it's Howler Head. It's a bourbon he came out with.
Did they advertise it as banana flavored? Or
Yeah,
does it have,
Really?
yeah. No, it's like advertised as that. It tastes like
because if it has banana to it, I mean to cut in.
Yeah.
that's usually an indicator of failure as a bourbon.
right. Yeah,
It's like the popcorn flavor in like a pilsner.
banana
I've
flavored
never
whiskey,
heard of
I should
that.
say, but still. But it was disgusting, and it tasted like the
They should
banana.
call it "Don't Drink It" whiskey.
Right. So I had tried a little bit of it, and when they came in, I was like, "We should drink this because I hate it." Joel drank the entire bottle by himself in an hour and a half podcast.
I met him at a
my
food
God.
show.
Yeah, Joel's great. I love Joel and Natalie. I love 317. Great little restaurant. But
Oh, that's
You know what?
hilarious, man.
yeah, Joel
Good for
drank
him.
the
He
entire
drank the whole bottle?
Yeah, so
Out of spite, or
I
you
might
thought-
have respect for the man.
He just
now.
kept
That's-
pouring. He just kept pouring,
Like,
and I think it was actually around Halloween.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fun episode.
He might have been like, "Let me take the pain for this. Let me
There's gotta be
let me
pain
alleviate the
involved in that.
suffering."
Yeah.
There's got to be pain involved in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, Syracuse just lost two great restaurants. Amano, I know it's now
Yep.
Abioko, whatever.
That was an icon.
Yeah, I mean, Noah and his dad, Anthony, are still doing it, and their mom are still doing a great job there. And their chef is, I forget his name, from Francesca's, listen, I'm sure he's very talented. He's doing good. We just had dinner there Friday night with our family, and, everything was great. But it's not what Amano was. But it's still great. It's still very good. I'd still put it up against any other Italian. I'd still say it's better than any other Italian American restaurant in town,
Really?
without question.
All right. Yeah.
It depends on what you want. If I want like chicken riggies, I'm probably not going to go there because it's not on the menu. But if I want chicken riggies, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to Teddy's in Rome. But if I'm not going to Rome, I'm going to any of the other, Sant'Angelo's. Yeah, man. I don't know.
Can I,
Go for it.
here we go. I am.
We're just talking.
If being a chef or a cook taught me anything, it was humility, right? Mm-hmm. So I will never. It's very hard for me to actively
ridicule another. Yeah.
I just
gotcha.
I have and Damien comes from an Italian family in New Jersey, and Italian is not my. It's not my forte, but what I'm learning.
We're getting you there.
We're getting there. But like, and my wife, and she's not Italian, but we've done these pastas. We get like bucatini. We do sun dried tomatoes. We do some olives. We do white wine. We do garlic, and we do fresh basil. And we like that's the Italian cuisine is simple, fresh ingredients, well executed, and it's like in saying that. It's fairly simple, but in execution, there's no forgiveness.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So, like, when I'm braising these short ribs, I got some room.
Right.
I got a little room.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But if you're doing a bucatini alla matricana, you don't.
Yeah.
It either is or it isn't. Right? You've either executed it perfectly or that kind of thing. And we have a large Italian community here and that kind of thing.
And I mean, and there's some like Alex and Lauren, they're now moving to North Carolina. That's why Amano switched to Abioka, because Alex and Lauren, Alex the son, Lauren his fiance, phenomenal chefs, worked for Mark Vetri in Philadelphia, both CIA grads.
There's some pedigree there.
Yeah, they were living in Italy for like a year, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
Traveling the country. Learning the food.
Yeah.
When they got the call, I think that's the timeline when they got the call to come to Syracuse and open this restaurant with their dad.
Right.
And
that's cool.
And they're making the most obscure pasta shapes by hand themselves every single night, making all the breads themselves. So the bread for the free bread basket. Noah is
labor intensive.
Yeah, for sure. It was just the two of
worth
them.
It.
Yes. Well, yeah.
Well, if you want to go down that road.
Yeah. If you want to do that, yeah.
To me, it's about the process, and I'm not trying to hijack anything, but to me, anything cooking is about the process.
Yeah.
And I think
well, your meats. So like the beef, I think it's worth talking about. The beef that you're doing and the turkey that you're doing, that's legit. I mean, we're not bringing that. It's not deli meat.
Yeah.
This is legit. I mean, and you're putting the process, you're brining, and then we get it on the slicer. I mean, there's work involved.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
we got a slicer in the cafe that's at
This
least
thing
older
is
than
like,
me.
I swear to God, this thing is from like 1890.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So there's a lot of that stuff there when you
gorgeous.
guys got the place?
Yeah,
That's
was
cool.
there.
Yeah, that's
Like,
nice.
we're letting you have this. Like, they were on to unload it. I'm like, we've done our own thing there, and it's the same. It's the thing that I've always said about food. It's the process, right?
Yeah.
What makes great Italian food? The process.
Right.
What makes great anything? It's the process.
Yeah, it's somewhere along the way in great food is someone who's suffering. Now they may love it. They may love what they're doing.
You're fucking spot on. dude.
Right.
That is right.
Yeah, someone
There's a suffering
somewhere
behind it because
is-
there's a love behind it. So there was a shot on Instagram, and I swear to God, it's this old Italian mother, and she did this whole. She rolled out the dough.
Yeah.
She got the little spinach balls.
She had like 500
This
raviolis.
thing's like 5 foot by 7,
and she's
she
rolling it out with a
And
plate.
then she got
like,
the plate,
Yeah.
like an old plate,
Yeah.
right? Just to divide it.
and
then
I'm
she
looking
does
at it as a chef going like, I need to do better.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm failing. Like,
Yeah.
how am I not at that level?
But
like
to your
that's
point,
generations
it's like
of.
what we're doing is like we just want fresh,
Yeah.
right? You just kind of want that type of food that's really kind of fresh. You're gonna weed out some people
For sure.
because it's a little bit higher end,
Yeah.
price wise.
Yeah, you're not going to get those kids coming over. I mean, you might, but you're right there. But are the kids going to be coming for the shakshuka or whatever that? Maybe.
He
but,
says it better than I do, and
it's a completely different crowd. Completely different crowd.
it really is.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
they're starting to come in.
if you were a late night Grubhub DoorDash, that's a different story.
Can I pick your brain for a minute on that?
Yeah.
What do you think about? We're torn. We're gonna go that way.
Yeah.
We don't want to go all.
Yeah.
should we pick one? If there's one, you can
DoorDash for sure. DoorDash is
Why?
80% of the market in Syracuse. Yeah, Grubhub, and then Grubhub is like 18%.
You bump your prices to absorb.
Yeah, so that's what most people do. That's what we did. You can't be obvious about it because if
we have to bump the price, or they'll.
No, so well, DoorDash changed the last time I looked. So at one point, DoorDash, we just bumped our prices on their website or on DoorDash versus what we had listed on our website. And every once in a while, they would do an audit and they would be like, hey, why the fuck are you charging our customers $2 more for this chicken sandwich? And then they would take us off the platform for like a week until now they changed it where what you do is when you set your menu, you list, your menu price and then your DoorDash price. So there's two, and the customer can see the difference on their end.
But do we adjust the DoorDash price? They do that.
You do that when you set your menu. Yeah.
Price.
So when you sign up for DoorDash, you email them and you say, hey, here's my menu. And then they type in the name and the description and the prices.
Can I ask you your opinion?
Yeah.
Do you think we should do that?
I would, because there's going to be some number of nurses even across the street.
Especially in the wintertime, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we were talking about, wintertime.
Yeah. There's going to be some number of nurses across the street who are just like, they're like, I'm not walking. I'm not going to go down to the bottom floor from the 9th floor and walk across the street and get lunch. I don't have that much time. And so, but they'll DoorDash, and so I would do it because if you do the marketing, so the worst case on DoorDash is you spend 30%. And that's if you go top tier, like you pay for their marketing, you're listed on the front when somebody logs into DoorDash. Okay. But you can be all the way down to 10% if you want. And then if you have a button on your website, so if people go to your website and then you install their button, like their link that says order here, you don't get charged. I think you can be at the top tier, like the 30%, so you get all the benefits, but you only pay I think like 15%. Now the other thing is when you first sign up, they give you a 30.
We pay the 15%.
Yeah. Well, what they do is they take the money and then they deposit it into your account like once a week, and they take their commission out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Now you can. So when you first sign up, though, you get a 30-day commission-free period. So for those first 30 days, you want to like hammer home to everybody that like blast it all over social media. We're now on DoorDash. Because for 30 days, you get 100% of whatever the sale is.
So let me ask you this. Here's part of our concern. Like, and I get where he's coming from, and I get my point of view too, is we're putting out fresh stuff.
Yeah.
If it sits,
this
guy's delay, it doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, but people nowadays get that. Like, most custom. I mean, my wife, granted, I kind of understand it a little bit more, but even
so if you got a rice bowl and it's cold, you're good with that?
Well, all right. So as a customer, you're looking at a few different things. You're saying, okay, I ordered my food at 9 a.m., let's just say, and it got here at 10:30. I'm going to expect it to be cold, right? Having said that, you have to play a game on your end operationally to say, all right, the food's going to be ready in 5 minutes, according to Chris. So I'm going to tell DoorDash it's ready now. So that way, by the time the driver shows up, Chris has the food ready. So then you don't have to worry about it sitting there forever.
Yep.
And then the other thing is, and especially if they're delivering across the street, it's going to be right there. It's not like it's going to take forever.
Dude, I really appreciate this conversation. So let me ask you, though, this is what concerns me.
Listen, I sold tater tots and fried chicken sandwiches in a styrofoam container, and I didn't fucking care about
it. I'm dependent on these guys to deliver some food. And as you can see, we're kind of we're a little bit higher level on what people are getting at the end of the day.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. No, the customers nowadays know what they're like.
Really?
Yeah, like in the early days of Grubhub and DoorDash, sure, people were like, "Wait a minute, why didn't it show up and it be exactly like it was when I was sitting at the restaurant?"
Right.
Nowadays, people understand.
They'll let it go.
Hey, it's being delivered. The only thing that you should do on your end is test out your takeout container. So that's one thing we did at 3-1 Fried.
Should be good.
Is we were like, all right, what containers are we using? If I'm putting French fries in here, is it going to steam the fuck out of it? So there was like a 2-month period. I would
French
say
fries aren't going to travel well no matter what.
Right.
If you invent that technology, get ready to retire.
Right.
Because there's no
cheap coated. I've invented it. Ready? Cheap coated French fries and invent your containers. And you've got about a 2-minute window.
Right.
But just like
that's the Jetsons shit.
Right. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like the name too.
If you're using the high end like plastic container that have no vents,
Yeah.
and you're putting something that's like hot and steamy, and you're gonna be like a bun, and you're gonna be worried. Yeah, and you're gonna be worried about that. Then just vent them.
My point was, being perfectly honest with him about our concerns about.
It's never going to be perfect. It's not
No.
going to.
I
It's
know.
not
That's
going to
why-
teleport
but
to
he's
their
doing
door.
so I just wanted to get his opinion on it.
And customers know now. Customers know.
See,
hey,
I didn't expect that answer.
yeah, customers know. And to be honest, like, all right, who's your customer up there? Your customer is arguably
Hawkins.
the majority women. Let's say 24 to 46. Yeah, 50. Okay. With some level of disposable income, if they're nurses, nurse practitioner, whatever, they work in hospitals,
MSNs,
right?
BSN,
Yeah. All right. So that's your customer. My wife is your demographic, and she works in healthcare. She would rather order Pies Guys on Grubhub because A, she doesn't have to talk to anybody on the phone, and B, her credit card information.
Pies Guys in Liverpool.
Well, in Eastwood. In Eastwood. We live on the north side. So she'd rather order from Grubhub because she doesn't have to talk to anybody and her credit card information is saved. So she can just press the button and it's there.
That doesn't scare her.
Even knowing
It's secure.
That's what.
even knowing that she's spending an extra 20%,
Yeah.
right?
$6-8 on a $20 purchase.
And I'm like, what are you doing? Call them. We're going to save $6 on our pizza and wings tonight. And she's like, I don't want to deal with it. So that's your demographic. So I would be, if I were you, I would get on DoorDash only. I wouldn't bother with Grubhub or Uber Eats or anything.
So you're selling convenience at that point.
Exactly.
DoorDash.
DoorDash.
Now, the only thing I'll just say is, food's fucking expensive nowadays, right? I mean, yes, cost of food from the vendors has gone up, sure, blah, blah, blah.
Execution, labor.
Yeah, labor is the big thing, and rent, because rent, people are getting in Syracuse right now is crazy.
What I've predicated this whole business model on is we don't use, well, I'm just going to say it like it is. We use inexpensive cuts that other people,
Because you know how to do it.
and I'm hoping that this takes. We use chicken thighs. People are like, well, I really like chicken thighs. I don't really know how to cook them. Well, I do. We get these chuck short ribs. It takes a day to marinade. It takes 3.5, 4 hours to cook. It needs to sit overnight. We get all the bad fat off it. We concentrate the sauce, and then we got something nice.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping. My whole thing, and like Damien and I had talked about this for like literally a couple of years. I want to do this differently. Like I'd gone to a food show at this one place, and there was this. I'll let him be nameless, but it was like this pre-cooked prime rib, pre-cooked pork shanks, pre-cooked this, pre-cooked that, and I'm like,
Yeah, no, we don't
and
do that.
that was the same time that like I pulled the plug on my paycheck, and I'm like, I opened a place called Brazen. That's my LLC, like Brazen,
And I do, and it's
fairly cheesy, but that's my best attempt at
It is
marketing.
paying off.
Yeah.
It is paying off.
Yeah. I mean, my dad is the sales manager, like, I don't know, he's a manager of some sort at Lorenzo's and, foods. And they just got bought by this, company. And actually that company, I think, just bought one of the two Polgi seafoods.
Sure.
So, so they're going to be doing some cool shit soon. But, Dad was telling me like last year about this fat injected, steak that he said that, all the golf courses are buying for their tournaments because it's free New York strip. And I'm like,
because you have to pay talented cooks, and they're still out there, but they're few and far between. And I'm just interjecting right now. I was an instructor at Paul Smith's for a year, a year after I finished at the culinary school. I finished my degree there, and I'm just going to name him. I hope he hears this because I want to give him some shit. Bruno Nouveau. He's got a very illustrious resume. He somehow found my information, and he's like, "Would you come to teach at the school?" And I said, "I'd love to." So I taught culinary 101, 102. I taught international, and I taught American gastronomy, which is a 400 level class. And the thing that I always emphasized with these students, it's about the process.
Yeah.
Don't get sucked into this. You're going to get 101 people that are going to come in and say, hey, we can make this easier for you. You can make this this.
Yeah.
This is not easy work, and it shouldn't be. And if you love it, you shouldn't care.
Yeah, there's a restaurant. I won't name the name because I don't want to edit this out. But there's a restaurant that I did some work for, and their U.S. Foods rep walked in, and they were like, "Hey, we want to open up this concept, and we want go for it. We want to open this concept, and we want to do burgers. What do you have?" And then the U.S. Foods rep gave them not just the menu, but also gave them like, here's everything, and everything was pre-cooked, and even the burger and everything, all that kind of stuff. So you didn't need like a skilled, but there's
But you do.
Yeah, but there's a lot of there's a lot of restaurants that exist like that here in our central New York area who are just doing like, hey, I don't know, my Cisco rep told me that he had like those corn ribs that were going around like fucking wildfire for a year, or for like the
Not
spring.
even local corn.
Right.
All right.
And it's the worst thing to eat. But
let's not keep us here till 2 a.m. I got to say this. It's about the process, right? If you're a cook or a chef, it's the process.
Chris, that's the 10th time you've said it's about the process.
I'm going to say it again.
I want to go back to the Taylor ham.
Yeah.
We're going to circle back to that, but it's take the time to cook the food. Whatever you're doing, make the pasta, make the meatballs.
But what do you? All right, but I'm gonna play now. I agree with you. Like, I don't want, as a customer, if I go out and get a cheeseburger and fry. Listen, I went to here's a great. I mean, I love Dinosaur. Nobody's from there is going to listen to this podcast, but I mean, I went there today. I got a pulled pork sandwich and 2 sides was $19.
Pulled pork sandwich and 2 sides. What were your sides?
Mac and cheese and fries. But there's no classification to what 2 sides. Just 2 sides.
Right.
Yeah, their fries
They're
are
going to
great.
eat it on
their
some,
mac
and they're
and
going to
cheese
win
is
on
great.
others.
Right.
You know
That's their
what?
model.
Yes.
You've been there before, correct?
Yeah.
What you're getting is consistent and legit.
For sure. It's
So
good. Well,
did you have a problem, really?
Yeah. No, I didn't. It was a good meal. But my point is just this. It's expensive to go out to eat today. It's wildly expensive.
Totally agree with that. That's why I asked you that question, because you know what you're going to get. You already know I'm spending the money.
Right.
But you want consistency with it
Yeah.
to say, okay, this is what I'm going to get. I'm paying for it. And
What's consistency?
consistency can vary in Central New York.
Yeah.
It can vary.
Yeah, for sure.
I think let's change the vernacular from consistency to experience.
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah, I like that word better.
I think
like
there's
that word
room
better.
for a lot of people. I'm not the one that's like, well, there's only this, and I'm not that guy. I want to see local businesses do very well. I think the rising tide raises all boats, right?
Yep.
But be clear about what you're selling and your expectation and that kind of thing, and also maintain that. So for us, for example,
Go ahead.
I think that. So for me, I'm constantly trying to refine what we're doing. So we ran a short rib taco this week, and it's like people are coming in and getting it. People came in and got it a second time. As long as it gets better, it doesn't necessarily have to be. It has to be in the same realm, but it doesn't have to be the exact same. If somebody comes in and has something they have the second time, like, wow, it got better from the last time I had it. That's great. If they're like, well, it wasn't quite the same as when I had it before, that's a different conversation. It's like it's a decline.